Hello, my name is Thelf, and today I'll be talking about a fairly new comp among the arenas, Mage, Shadow Priest, Mistweaver, Monk, and I will be going over how I handle this comp as a Holy Paladin. As you can see, I start off with a full Hodge on the Priest to prevent him from fearing me full. Because Paladins are so susceptible to CC, we almost always need a sack up whenever we're going out to CC the healer against a Mage. As you can see, I throw a sack on my Priest which they're on and go in for a full blind. Knowing that I have sack up, I decide to sit the full sheep. Unfortunately, they do not do any damage to my priest, and I'm just sitting here in the poly doing nothing. At this point, I get blanketed full, and my priest gets pretty low. However, I know he has a dispersion up and also a master spell, so I decide to sit the next sheep as well. Saving a freedom for yourself is the essential key of beating a mage, or preventing their swaps onto you or onto a teammate. Simply because if you freedom yourself out of a Nova and they do not have Fingers of Frost up, they will not be able to deep you. As you can see, during that Ring of Frost, I was put out in a pretty bad spot, and I noticed the mage was trying to sheep me, so I quickly kicked it. Kicking and dispelling sheep on this map is another essential point to winning the game versus a mage, especially on a map like this where paladins can be CC'd no matter where they go. At this point, I noticed that my hunter is getting feared out in a pretty bad spot where he's out of range of my dispel, so I decide to dispel the priest. Now, I get full blanketed here and then in a full sheep. I decide to sit it because I know my hunter has a full deter. I get mass dispelled out of the sheep and I decide to quickly LOS, however I get deeped. Now, I don't trinket because I know I'm fine because I have an Aura Mastery. However, I Aura Mastery just a second too late and I get blanketed, and that forces me to trinket and cleanse myself instantly. At the same time that I'm playing defensive, I'm also playing offensive and always stunning the monk and always trying to get a blanket or a full blind onto him. Any kick helps win the game. Cleansing Frostbomb, VT, or Insanity against a priest or a mage helps stop all of their damage. Sadly, since cleansing VT puts you in a full Horrify, you have to sit some CC, but it is extremely beneficial to your team to dispel it because it makes their priest go and it forces him to play defensive and not be able to mass dispel or play offensive. Now, if you notice here, I put myself in a pretty bad spot, but that's because I hodged the priest and try to get a full blind on the healer while we are going offensive. I notice that they try to set up a switch onto me and I get deep full. However, it gets mass dispelled instantly. Right now I notice that the mage is sitting a full fear and I cannot get counterspelled or interrupted. And so I cast a full denounce, which is huge against any healer because it makes them unable to crit their heals. If you notice throughout the fight, I constantly put Sacred Shield on myself and not the target they are on. This is because as this comp, they always look for a switch on me, the Holy Paladin, simply because they can global me in a deep and then a full blanket, and then I'll die. Keeping that Sacred Shield on myself prevents the spike damage of me going from 100% to 0 in one global. Now I notice my hunter is getting pretty low, but since the priest just popped Insanity, I know they can't get a kill. My hunter goes for a full trap here and I decide to hodge the priest, which just hodges him on his massive spell and allows us to keep a much longer trap on the monk. We do get the priest extremely low here, but he lands a life swap off. Now I decide to play a little bit offensive and get some CC out on the healer, simply because I am in such a good spot right now. Knowing that they have no cooldowns left, I know that a kill is coming soon. My hunter lands a full trap on the monk and I decide to go out in the open and get any CC that I can on the monk to make sure that we land this kill. So over here you will see us fighting him on Blades of Jarina, which is not an amazing map for us, but it's also not an amazing map for them, simply because we have that knockoff, which they don't. As you can see, my priest goes to the left pillar. Just in case they switch onto him and they are near him, my hunter can easily get a knockoff to the left side of the map, or even to the right side. Overall, this map for a Holy Paladin against the Mage Shadow Priest is a horrible map, simply because it forces me, the Holy Paladin, to play in the open to heal. Now, I can abuse these pillars to the left and the right of me, but that's only when my teammates are in range. Whenever my hunter or my Shadow Priest goes for a kill, it forces me to play out in the open because the other team just quickly recovers to their pillars and we have to push in and take the spot. As a holy paladin for your spec, speed of light on this map is probably the best choice against this comp, simply because you have to save it in situations like this, where my hunter got feared out of range, and in order for me to cleanse him I had to quickly get to him and then get right back to my pillar so I cannot be CC'd. I am constantly moving left and right, and I am constantly healing my teammate to the left of me. Now as the mage tries to push in, the only way that mage or that priest can get a full fear or a full sheep on me on this pillar is if they blink in, or the priest just runs in while they CC my teammate. Once again, saving one freedom for yourself is always needed on this map, especially because the mage and the priest can easily make a switch onto you. However, you could use the other freedom to get your teammates out of roots. Now, given an example of when the mage tries to push in and CC me right here, is you'll see him try to blink and CC us. However, my hunter blankets him and I quickly hodge right after, and the mage is just stuck there doing nothing for the rest of the hodge. In this next situation, you will see why this map is such a huge counter to Holy Paladins. As you can see, I quickly pop my sprint here to quickly run in and out, that way the priest cannot fear me, simply because they are pushed in so far that they can easily get a CC on all of us with a triple fear. Now as we get the mage and the priest in a full fear, the mage decides to put some CC down, and I freedom myself and quickly avoid the ring. Now the priest is still CC'd and he just gets out. We're going hard on the mage and I decide to full hodge the priest, that way he cannot life swap, and we do land a kill on the mage. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my guide.